Good morning again, grade 8 students. This is me, Teacher Christine, and I will be discussing a new lesson for this week. Before we proceed with our new lesson, let's have first a short review on what we have discussed last week. You were able to learn that the pitch of a sound you hear depends on the frequency of the sound wave. So remember that if the pitch is low, the frequency is low. So if the pitch is high, the frequency is high also. You were able to learn also that the loudness of a sound depends on the energy and intensity of the sound wave. So please remember that the more energy of a sound wave has, the louder it sounds. And of course, a sound wave of a greater intensity, the louder the sound is. Lastly, you were able to learn also the Doppler effect. So when we say Doppler effect, it occurs because the motion of the source causes the wave to either get closer together or spread out. And the best example of Doppler effect is the ambulance and the fire truck. So be ready for this week because we will be discussing 2 lessons. So the first lesson is lesson 5, using sound. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to learn the following objective. Describe how animals and people use sound. And the words that you have to know at the end of the lesson are echolocation, sonar, ultrasound, and sonogram. So before we proceed with our new lesson, I want you to prepare the following materials with you. First, you have your textbook. The next one, you have your pen. And lastly, your highlighter. So now, I want you to open your textbook on page 280 and read my planet diary entitled Marine Scientists. I want you to pause this video and I would like you to answer the question that follows after the passage. So to continue, what can you infer about dolphins from what you have read? Correct. We can infer that dolphins use sound to survive. How do animals and people use sound? Have you ever shouted into a canyon or a cave and then waited for the echo? An echo is a reflected sound wave. When a sound wave hits a surface that it cannot pass through, it may reflect. Some practical uses of sound, including echolocation and ultrasound technologies, are based on the fact that sound reflects off surfaces. Many animals find it easy to move around in dark places, like the one here in the picture. So you can see in this picture, these are bats. This is because they use echolocation. So what do we mean by echolocation? It is simply the use of reflected sound waves to determine distances or to locate objects. Some animals are using echolocation, like the bats and the dolphins. So what is the importance of echolocation to these animals? Because of echolocation, they can navigate and find food. Sound waves with frequencies above the normal human range of hearing is called ultrasound. The prefix ultra means beyond. Bats use ultrasound waves with frequencies up to 100,000 Hz to move around and hunt. As a bat flies, it sends out short pulses of ultrasound waves. The waves reflect off objects and return to bat's ears. The time it takes for the sound waves to return tells the bat how far it is from the obstacle or prey. On the other hand, dolphins use ultrasound waves with frequencies up to 150,000 Hz to hunt and move around in murky, deep water. The sound waves travel through the water and reflect off fish or other prey. Dolphins sense the reflected sound waves through their jawbones, as shown in the picture on the left. Ultrasound technologies. Unlike animals, people cannot send out pulses of ultrasound to help them move around in the dark. But people sometimes need to explore places they cannot easily reach, such as deep underwater or inside the human body. People use ultrasound technologies such as sonar and ultrasound imaging to observe things that they cannot see directly. A system that uses reflected sound waves to detect and locate objects underwater, like a sunken ship or a group of fish, is called sonar. The word sonar comes from the initial letters of sound, navigation, and ranging. Navigation means finding your way around on the ocean or in the air. Ranging means finding the distance between objects. People use sonar to determine the depth of water, to map the ocean floor, and to locate objects such as sunken ship and schools of fish. A sonar device sends a burst of ultrasound waves that travel through the water. When the sound waves strike an object or the ocean floor, they reflect. The sonar device detects the reflected waves. A computer in the sonar device measures the time it takes for the sound waves to go out and return. Then it uses the following equation to solve for the total distance that sound travels. So, distance is equal to speed of sound in water multiplied by time. You can also use the triangle method. So if you're going to find for the time, you can divide distance with the speed. If you are going to find for the speed, you can divide distance by time. And of course, if you're going to find the distance, you will just multiply the time with the speed of sound in water. Ultrasound imaging. Doctors use ultrasound imaging to look inside the human body. An ultrasound imaging device sends ultrasound waves into the body. Then it detects the reflected sound waves. Different parts of the body, such as bones, muscles, the liver, or the heart, reflect sounds differently. The device uses the reflected waves to create a picture called a sonogram, as shown in the picture. A doctor can use sonograms to diagnose and treat many medical conditions. The technician, as shown in this picture, is using an ultrasound imaging device to examine a fetus. The technician holds a small probe on the pregnant woman's abdomen. The probe sends out very high-frequency ultrasound waves. By analyzing the reflected sound waves, the device builds up a sonogram. The sonogram can show the position of the fetus. Sonograms can also show if there is more than one fetus. In addition to a still picture, ultrasound imaging can produce a video of the fetus. To summarize everything in this lesson, some animals, including bats and dolphins, use echolocation to navigate and find food. And lastly, people use ultrasound technologies such as sonar and ultrasound imaging to observe things that they cannot see directly. Thank you so much. That's it for today. Wait for another video for a new lesson. Again, thank you so much.